In the second episode of learning how to use React hooks by building a Taro web app without AI, we're going to focus on the useEffect hook, and we're also going to connect to an API that I made specifically for us to fetch tarot card images. First of all, let me show you the API that we're going to connect to. I made it very quickly. I just used Wikipedia images. They are available for free because Rider-Waite's tarot deck was made more than 100 years ago. And I made a few endpoints that we're going to use to fetch our images. We can fetch all the cards, or we can also just fetch a suit, for instance, just once. Or it's also possible to fetch either major or minor arcana only. So it's a bit flexible. And now let's just introduce useEffect. So first of all, let's import it. And then let's also add another use state, but this time for the image itself. Now let's write the useEffect. The rule of thumb would be to place it after the use state and before the return. The normal syntax would be something like that. So we're writing an error function, and there's also going to be a dependency array. It's important to not forget it. These square brackets are the dependency array, and if we put something inside, then we're going to run the useEffect every time something changes. And if there is nothing in there, then we just run it on every single render. So we already kind of know that we want to track the current card. So let's put it inside of the dependency array. Now our useEffect will only run whenever a new card is drawn. There is a case of no card being drawn. So if no card has been drawn yet, we don't have to do anything, right? So let's just write it, current card, return. But the most interesting part is here. We need to write a function to fetch the image from our API. We're going to fetch it, and the fetch itself takes time because it goes to the internet and comes back, and we're going to have to use await. Await means pause and wait for this to finish before moving next. That's why we're going to make our function asynchronous, so async. Let's name it fetch image. We can fetch all the 78 cards, so this will be the URL for us. So let's create a const, name it res, which normally stands for result, and write await, fetch, and put the URL that I just copied. Nice, so this doesn't look that complicated. Res will be the raw response, like an envelope, but not the content yet. So we have to kind of open that envelope, and we're going to do that with the following line. So we're going to write const data, await, res.json. And this is going to parse what's inside as a JSON. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to have to try and match what we have here in the cards with what we drew from the API. As you can see, the names correspond to what we have in our cards.js, that's why you don't have to worry. After all, I created it specifically for this tutorial, so it should not be too complicated. So let's just write const match data and find, and let's write it like that. Which basically means that we're going to loop through the array and find the card whose name matches the one that we drew. pretty straightforward, isn't it? And why c.name? It's just because it's inside of an object, so it's like an object and the parameter is name. Now we're done fetching, but now we have to set the card, and we have a setter for that. We have set image, so we can actually use it here. So set image, and we're going to put match.image. Why match.image? Because match is a full object. It contains something like name, the full, and image, the address of the image of the full, but we only need the image. And now don't forget to actually call the function. The logic looks good so far, but we haven't returned anything yet, so we're not going to see anything. Let's scroll down and find the current card, which is the name of the current card, since we already had in episode 1. So now let's add an image, and the source of it will also be image. We can also have an alternative, so if the image fails to load, we can just put the text of the current card. And we can set the width so that it's not too huge. Yeah, let's say 200. And let's close the tag. We need to reset the image, so set image to null. That's only for the image not to flash when we reset it. And now we're ready to give it a try in our browser. Let's draw a card. 8 of cups. Nice. I mean, we haven't done anything beautiful with CSS yet, but it works. And you have just learned how to use useEffect.